What is the AI?
You are live.
Can you give me what is it called? Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Manny. I'm coming to you live from the Manny J Media headquarters here in Worcester, and I'm with my man, Mr. Sean Harris, Director of Community Engagement. Thank you. I was going to say relations, and I knew that was wrong. But, Sean, thank you so much for joining me, my brother. Absolutely. I've been wanting you to get in for so long. I see you practically every time I'm out in the community, which is a good thing, because that's your job, right?
I'm outside, man.
You want to tell me a little bit about exactly what your job entails, so I don't keep assuming?
Yeah, so in my role as Director of Community Engagement for the college, Quinsigamond Community College, obviously QCC Blue outside, I'm responsible for our strategic partnerships, things that we sponsor, what we put our name on. In a lot of ways, for me, it's about extending the walls of our college to the community and making sure we're a true reflection of that, as well as making sure our on-campus community is reflective of the people in the institution we want to be when people from the community are on our campus. So, I do as much as I can at being at any and all events, with our admissions team, with everyone else setting up tables at every event we can possibly be at, because we know, the city of Worcester really relies on us for a lot of our students. We have so many students from Worcester and all the surrounding towns that we're their first stop. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I want to make sure that we're reflected of that out in the community and making sure we have tables at everything for that new group of students who don't realize what we are and what value we bring to the community.
Right, and to the individual themselves, because a lot of times I think kids don't, especially if they don't know what they want to do with their life yet, they don't have a career path. College can be very intimidating. Absolutely. And the structure and the setup of everything can be very intimidating, because when you go to a college, you're like, it's a commitment, right? And a lot of people are scared to get involved in that commitment without actually knowing what they want to do. Yeah. So I think one of the beautiful things about community colleges, specifically Quinsigamond Community College, is a lot of that fear and intimidation is toned way down. Very inviting campus, very inviting staff. And, people like you actually go out into the community and, I wouldn't say recruit, but...
No, we recruiting.
Bring people back.
We're outside recruiting. Our admission staff is out there.
And making you feel comfortable meeting people where they're at.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a really important thing, especially in our communities. And when I say our, I'm specifically talking to Black and brown communities. It was my experience growing up where college wasn't necessary. To be real, a lot of my people, and I don't know, call me a little crazy, I had a different mindset, but a lot of the people I grew up with, they were just trying to make it to 18. Mm-hmm. Like, they were just trying to make it to an adult age, never mind college being in the picture in any stretch of the imagination. And I love what you do, and I love what you represent, which is young Black and brown boys say, hey, if he's there, I could be there too.
Absolutely.
And that's a very important thing. It's all about, representation and seeing yourself in that position, and not necessarily as the Director of Community Engagement. Thank you. I was going to say relations again. I got it. Listen, I'm going to get it down. But just in a community college period.
Absolutely.
In a college period.
I started at Quinsig. Yeah. I started my educational career at Quinsig, and when you talk about that, like initially I was never one of those young people who thought like, yo, college was for me.
Right.
And I tell this story all the time when I talk to younger people about college and access and all of those things. I never thought college was a possibility to me till my junior year in high school. And part of that came from, do you remember the TV show A Different World?
Of course. Yeah.
That was the first time I had ever seen black people in college.
Yeah. Same.
Right? And simultaneously, at the same time, I joined Upward Bound. You know,
I was part of that program as well.
Sid Buxton, Lisa Maddox, and all of them. So then it kind of became a realization that there are black people in college.
Yeah.
And I knew I was smart enough to be able to go to college, but my first couple of years of high school, I was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I barely made it out of high school as it was, but once I realized, like, damn, this is an option, I started working toward that. And luckily, it wasn't too little too late. I was, you know, able to do what I had to do to get out of high school, but then I didn't have the luxury of going from high school straight to college.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, right after high school, I was already a parent. When I started my college, you know, when I rolled into college, my daughter was 2 years older.
Wow.
Like,
so your priorities are way different right now.
Oh,
Because
100%.
you got a brand new mouth to feed.
Like, yep. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when my daughter was 3 years old in the college classroom with me, like, I would take my daughter to school.
Really?
In that class. Absolutely.
At Quinsig.
Yep.
Shout out to Quinsig, bro.
And I never once, I tell a story, I never once had a professor who had an issue with me having her with me.
Right.
Right? She sat in the corner with her book.
Bro, that's the gold standard right there.
And it is there, like we were talking about before, you know, probably 70% of our students are parenting students or working adults.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have to be flexible in how we approach them. Like, we can't have one size fits all uniformity in how we run our classes, because it doesn't work like that. Everyone's story and everyone's road is different.
Right. And I mean, if you think about it, these young people or young parents, I should say, who are trying to get an education is more than just, I want to get an education for a good career. You can see that they're really trying to do better, not just for themselves, but for this new life that they brought into the world. My son's mom, for example, she went to school with a big old belly and everything, and did what she had to do to get her education, because we wanted to make a better life for our kids.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm so happy and elated to hear that Quinsigamond Community College actually does accommodate that. I'm sure it's a case-by-case basis. It's not like a blanket thing. There's going to be a lot of case-by-case basis in today's conversation. But it's important to know that even though we, in our minds, I guess, because of generational trauma, create barriers of where we can and cannot go, people like you who actually come out into the community and let them know, nah, bro, you got it wrong. Listen, look at how I did it. You could do it too. Is a very, very important key element to getting the actual community in Worcester involved in the community college. Now, I'm curious, being a community college, there's such a stigma. A lot of people, they want to go to Yale, they want to go to Harvard, they want to go to Columbia, you know, they want to go to all these Ivy League schools. Now, I went to Fitchburg State, which at the time was Fitchburg State College, wasn't yet a university. Definitely was an Ivy League school, but honestly, and Fitchburg isn't even that far away from home, I wanted to go to Fitchburg State College because it wasn't a community college, because of the name, because I felt like it would have a little bit more oomph when I went to go apply for a job. How true is that?
One thing I say all the time is it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Okay.
So I have a couple different educational backgrounds. Like, I have a degree in human services, interior architecture and design. Never once in an interview has someone looked at, you know, my bachelor's degree and said, oh yeah, but you started at Quincy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with getting your feet wet at the community college level, especially if you're a young person who's unsure on what they want to do. One of the most unfair things we do to our youth in this country is ask them at 17, 18 what they want to do with the rest of their lives.
Bro, listen, I didn't know until I was 35 that I wanted to do this.
Absolutely.
And if we're being real, I don't know if this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm 40 years old.
And we don't we don't always introduce them to some of the other things that they may be gifted enough in to be a part of for the rest of their life.
Right.
So we pigeonhole them into these careers or these majors that they think they should be a part of because we tell them, oh, you'd probably be good at that.
Yeah, and I think it's more that society. I have a conspiracy theory that society, at least the government, is raising farming workers. You know, like when I was in school, I felt like I had a few options. I could work in retail, which, oh my God, or I could be like, you know, a teacher, a doctor, a firefighter, somewhere in like the services, a police person, like. Yeah. And I already knew by process of elimination what I didn't want to do. And which is sad too, because, you know, there's stigmas in those careers as well. But like I had no idea I could do this. This was not an option when I was in high school.
Well, it's hard to be what you've never seen.
Right.
Right. So even in the media space that you're in, right, you may have 1 million people that are interested in the media space, but they may not want to sit behind the desk like you do. Yeah. They may want to do what John does.
Right.
And they may not even know John exists because you only see the glamour and the glitz part of sitting behind the desk. So we don't introduce those things to our young people early enough. And also, we don't have conversations with them genuinely about what they're interested in because high school, middle school is so limited in our scope in terms of what we ask them about and what we ask them to produce while we're there.
Yeah.
I just learned this, and it's unbelievable to me that even I'm saying this, but Texas has a high school that's built strictly for entrepreneurs.
A high school, not a college.
High school. No, a high school.
Like
for people that want to
13, 14-ish to 18.
That people that want to be entrepreneurs.
You see how confused I am? That's cool. That's a great concept.
I can't believe I say it because when I think of, you know, education in the South and all of that, I'm kind of spoiled because, you know, New England, we're known
we are truly
Massachusetts,
blessed.
Yeah, we're known for education. We have the best colleges in the country and all that. But sometimes we're not innovative in how we approach middle school and high school for our students. We're big on, you know, secondary education and higher ed for sure, but we're not innovative in what we ask our high school students to do. And then some of them will get out and have no clue what they want to do. And so some of them will go away, go to UMass for 2 years, don't have it figured out, then end up dropping out, and you're dropping out already $60,000, $70,000 in debt.
Right. That's one thing we don't think about when we do go to these schools that we think are going to be so great without us knowing what we're going to do, that you got to pay for that school. And, you know, like you said, right now it's $60,000, $70,000. It's not even like it was back when I was there. It was like $30,000, $40,000, which is still a lot. You know, that's still an easy, good down payment, a couple down payments on a house. So
it's crazy right now.
Yeah. So what is Quinsigamond Community College doing for our high school children to kind of prepare them so that when they do go, you know, when it is time to go to college, at the very least, they're not wasting their money. Like, they are able to go and get some benefit out of it, even if they don't know yet what they're doing.
Yeah, I think we're unique in the fact that we run a ton of early college stuff. We're in high schools, and I believe, I don't quote me on this, but I believe we might even be as low as middle schools offering classes to students before they're even ready to graduate from high school. I know we have them on campus all the time. We do high school tours all the time. I can't even remember the number of high schools that we're in, but I know we do stuff with North High, with University Park, Claremont, in terms of not only preparing them for what it's like to be in college, but having them take college coursework early. So you'll get some students who will enroll in early college early on, and then by the time they graduate high school, they'll already have 10, 15, 20 college credits. You know what I mean? So they may have knocked out a year and a half of their associate's degree coming out of high school.
Right.
So then that takes another burden off of you financially, where that's a year of school that you don't have to pay for.
Technically free, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. Like I said, our early college programming is fantastic, and they do a ton with making sure high school students can transition smoothly to Quinsig and what we have to offer if they choose to come.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a great thing because, like we were discussing, if you don't know what you're going to yet do, at least getting those preliminary, what is it called?
Get your core stuff out of the way.
The stuff that you have to do.
Gen Eds out of the way.
Your maths, your science, your English. Get all that stuff that you have to do regardless of what school you go to.
Yep.
Get it out of the way here. And the beautiful thing about community college, too, is it's a lot cheaper than any other college in the college realm of things, right? So state colleges, universities, Ivy League. Community college is the cheapest that you're going to find. And right now, actually, in the state of Massachusetts, just a few weeks ago, if you were over 25, you can go for free.
That was Mass Reconnect, yeah.
And I heard, I might be wrong, but I'm hearing through the grapevine, it's now open to anybody.
Mass Educate, it was just passed recently.
That's wild.
Yeah, the governor signed legislation. And I don't have all the particulars, and I don't want to have anybody believing like, yo, Sean told me that.
Right. Knocking on QCC's door. Manny and Sean said it's free. Let me in.
I'm not 100% certain on what the criteria is.
Yeah.
But yes, Mass Educate makes the community colleges in the state of Massachusetts tuition free.
Right. So with that being said, you can do what I'm doing right now. You can Google Mass Educate. And you can also go to the QCC website. Which
go to not only that, but you should be following QCC on all of our socials anyway, because whether LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all of those things, you should be following QCC anyway. So you'll get those updates, and you'll be able to find out the information and everything that goes along with it. Because again, I don't want to have people thinking that I'm eligible, and then they not actually meet the criteria, because I'm sure there may be some eligibility stuff, but I have no clue what it is, so I don't want to mislead anyone based on that. But I do know that yes, it was signed into legislation, and you'll see all the community colleges now are putting out their information that you can come back to school for free.
Right, and I do know one of the basic criteria is you have to qualify for financial aid.
Yeah, you no matter what, you're going to have to fill out the FAFSA, because if you're not eligible for financial aid, that's an issue in and of itself. And unfortunately, and this is no fault of ours, but the FAFSA this year was a train wreck. Yeah. So actually last month we were doing parental workshops for students and parents around some of the issues with the FAFSA, because it was so many months behind. Because at one point it went live, and then they had to take it down because there were some issues. So people are still struggling with the FAFSA at this moment.
Right. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you can go to the school's financial aid department and they can walk you through the process, or at least give you some information that walks you through the process of applying for the FAFSA.
Definitely, swing by the campus, speak to someone in financial aid, get with someone in admissions and advising, and kind of talk about, okay, I'm applying, what are my options and all of that. But definitely talk to our financial aid people. And keep on, like I said, if you're following us on the socials, we post when we're going to be hosting FAFSA workshops and stuff like that. And I hope that we'll run some more in August. I can't guarantee it, but I know we did some just the past couple of weeks on helping people work their way through the FAFSA.
Right. So now I want to get to know a little bit more about you. Who's the man behind the guy we see in the blue shirt out on the street every day? Because it's more about you as an individual that really lends to this, to your job, being out in the street and making connections with so many people. Part of it is this is your home, and not only do you know a lot of people in the community that you came up with, but their kids. So that matters, and you care, which is an amazing thing. But I want to talk about the people that you send out there every day. My man Q. What a blessing. I don't know how you
shout out to Quincy Lester, man.
He's amazing, and he's out there every time like it's his first time, with a big old smile on his face and eager to teach everybody about what he knows. Tell me a little bit about that process, and are you accepting more people in the program to go out and let the world know about QCC?
So I can't tell you. I send Quincy is in admissions, which is separate. It's a different part of the college than I'm in.
See me, I can't. That's why I'll just be sitting here assuming things.
No. But in addition to that, because I also sponsor stuff, have tables at stuff. Sometimes admissions is not involved in that. They have tables at stuff that sometimes I tap into because I do believe like we're better as a team, right?
Yeah.
I always believe in the collaboration of every department of the college. So since I've been there, I've been working to tap into each department and say, listen, I'm going to be hosting a workshop at our community learning hub at Great Brook Valley. I'd like someone from financial aid, someone from advising, someone from admissions, someone who speaks English and Spanish, someone who may speak Haitian Creole, whatever we can get. So when people come in and ask questions, they're being directed to the right department. But when it comes to the tables that we have at events and all of that, the admissions team overall, not only Quincy, but Quincy, Brandon, Laura, everybody, they're fantastic. But the number of people that come up to me after and say, I just met this dude Quincy at this or that. He was fantastic. Like all the time. Quincy gives mad love in the community, and I love it because when I have those conversations with him, he's 100% dedicated to making sure he's a great representation for us, but also we're a great representation out in the community.
Absolutely, and he's very welcoming. He makes me want to go to the school just so that I can get that energy that he goes out into the community with. But we have so much more to talk about in just a moment. But first, we want to thank our sponsors because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this day in and day out as we do, with the quality and just everything that comes with making these shows. So thank you to our sponsors. John, go ahead, take it away.
Manny J Media is brought to you by
And welcome back, everybody, to Interviews with my man, Sean Harris, Director of
Community Engagement.
You'd think I'd get it by now. I don't know. But we're here nonetheless, and I'm so happy to have you. I think it's so important, the work that you do, and making QCC's presence known in the community. And moreover than that, having your peers' kids, your community know that they too are welcome, and not only are they welcome, but they too can succeed in great fashion at Quinsigamond Community College. So thank you so much for being here and sharing that information with us. And I do want to get to know a little bit about you. Okay. So I know that you came up like any other regular dude in the community. You're special, but there's special. Nothing overtly special about you except your passion for what you do.
I was blessed to have great mentors and be given great opportunities, and someone believed that they saw greatness in me, and it was later in life, but and I shouldn't say later in life, it was post high school, but still early on, but they believed in me and showed me that I could be a representation of what I actually wanted to be for the community. I'm damn
Where
sure
did that transition happen for you from being the knucklehead? And actually, before we go there, like, weren't we all kind of knuckleheads in high school? Like, why? What were we thinking? Was it just like...
So, for me...
What were we thinking?
So, for me, it's a little different. So I shouldn't say a little different, because a lot of people I know that I came up with have very similar story. I come from a family of two adult addicts. I was actually one of the youngest national speakers for Alateen, who came from families of alcoholics and drug addicts when I was a kid. But I was always ashamed of my parents' addiction because I didn't understand the disease of addiction. As a kid, everybody's looking at like, yo, that's your mom's, that's your dad, and all that.
And you don't understand it. You don't even understand why they're doing it. Never mind understand it.
Yeah. So that was super embarrassing. And so, and both of my parents, when I was a teenager, were incarcerated. So I was actually one of the first emancipated minors in the state of Massachusetts.
Wow.
I was my own legal guardian at 14.
That's wild.
And then, I was in the valley, living with one of my aunts, hanging with my cousins all the time, just outside. And then my grandmother found out, I never rolled down to the gym. We out there playing handball, scooped me up like, yo, get in the car, let's go.
Bro, you're describing my whole childhood right now. What years was this? The 90s?
This was the 80s.
The 80s? I was born in 84, 80s. So technically my childhood, but wow.
Yeah, this was the 80s. She's like, get in the car, let's go. And I'm out there. I'm 13. I'm like, I'm not going nowhere. Like, this is me. Like, we're hanging. And she's like, yo, let's go.
What you doing, bro?
Saved my life.
Yeah,
it saved my life. And so I lived with her all throughout my high school years till I graduated. And as soon as I graduated, I was back out on my own. So it was different in that aspect, but I'm damn sure not unique because I know a lot of other people that came up that way. When I first was out of my parents' house, like I was sleeping in an abandoned apartment in the valley where a friend of mine who her family had gotten evicted, and back then when you got thrown out the valley, they boarded it up. They didn't just move anybody in right away. So we pulled the boards down. I stayed there for a little while when I couldn't go to my aunt and uncles. Stayed with all my cousins, did the sofa surfing thing. Some of my really good friends in the valley, stayed with them for a while until my grandmother came and got me. And so that got me through high school. I made it there, and then I was just back out on my own again. So I didn't have the traditional, like, okay, go to middle school, go to high school. I had been kicked out of 4 schools by the time I was in 7th grade.
Right. And I'm not trying to be funny, but like looking at it now, if I seen a kid like that, I would think there's no way this kid's going to college.
Nah, it's over for me.
Yeah.
Right? It's over for me.
You can't even make it through high school.
Yeah.
4 different high schools, bro?
No, middle school.
Not even high school, middle school. What's wrong with you, right?
I'd been kicked out of schools from 6th grade all the way to 8th grade.
Wow.
4 different schools. And one school, when I was in 6th grade, I got kicked out. It was the only elementary school in the town, so I had to leave the town because there was nowhere else I could go to school.
Wow.
So that's how I
ended up. You got kicked out the town.
That's how I ended up back in Worcester. That was the first. I mean, not the first time, but that was one of the only times I had ever lived out of Worcester as a kid, other than when I was in New Orleans as a kid. But so shout out to Webster, Mass. That had one elementary school and threw me out when I was in 6th grade. So so I ended up back in Worcester. Ended up it's Woodland. It was Woodland. It was a Woodland Academy now, but it was Woodland. Then no, I didn't get kicked out of it. I graduated at Woodland. Kicked out of Forest Grove. Kicked out of Sullivan. Kicked out of Forest Grove. Ended up at Bronco Middle.
You sure were a knucklehead. I never really got kicked out of any schools, so I mean, but I was a class clown. I was a joker,
But not for nothing, I was that period of turmoil in my life between having to go see my father locked up, seeing my mother locked up. Something at that age, it's just not normal for a kid to have to deal with that kind of stuff, and deal with the addiction and stuff like that. And when I went to live with my grandmother, we talked about it all the time, and her getting me involved in those groups and all that, and I was always resistant to it because, again, I didn't understand the disease of addiction.
Right.
So like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not like them kids. You know what I mean? I'm not like them kids. But and at the end of the day, I was exactly those kids.
Yeah. You had to grow up fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be. I could imagine how hard and overwhelming that could be for a kid to have to deal with those personal things at home, which are really serving your parents, while you're now also trying to deal with, in a professional sense, your school stuff.
Yeah.
One's got to give.
Yep.
And I guess at that young of age,
It was school, man.
school becomes an escape too. You know, you get to just like go and be a kid because you're around all these other kids and there's kid-like activities. So, you know, I can absolutely see how one would not be so successful in the academic lane of school. Maybe socially you were cool, but academically,
I thought I was.
Yeah, right.
I thought I was him
Right.
for real.
Yeah, but then having to go home and deal with that's trauma, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the number. I was talking about this. So I'm a big believer in therapy, but it took me till much later in life, till late 30s, early 40s, to actually realize the value in therapy. And so there's stuff that like they had opened up in therapy that I didn't realize. Like there's stuff that I do now that literally stems from things that happened to me when I was younger. And I always be like, yo, that's at some point, like you got to get over that. But there are reactions to things that happen now. There are conversations that I have now that are a direct reflection of that. And my therapist helped me figure that out. But at one point we were having a discussion and we counted the number of family members or friends, loved ones that I lived with outside of, you know what I'm saying, of being homeless and sleeping in a car, living in a hotel, that I lived with in a 3 or 4 year period. And they were like, it's just not normal. Like what became the norm for you was not normal. So a lot of that really molded who I was as an individual. But as I got deeper and deeper into therapeutic journey of looking at myself so it could make me a better individual, you know what I'm saying, better person, better friend, better father, I had to deal with a lot of the stuff that I didn't even realize was there.
Right. And I think a lot of people have those similar journeys and don't realize they need to get there. And
well, a lot of us never come out of it on the other side, right? A lot of us end up dead, in prison, you know,
in some messed up stuff in the streets or whatever.
Yeah. I know a lot of dudes who I came up situations that, you know, just never bounced back from. So I'm blessed every single day.
I can't thank you enough for sharing that story because if I could be real with you, really real from my perspective, when I see you out in the community, I see the strong, smart, like, I don't know. I look at you like a superhero. Like that guy's got it all together. He's everything. He's cool. Like you're almost intimidating in a sense.
Anything
you know
but,
what I mean?
fan. Anything but.
But then I
exactly
see you sitting here. You got your jeans. You got your sneakers. You know what I'm saying? You look and feel just like me. You get your arms tatted up, which it just tells me you don't have to be that cookie cut, picture perfect person to be able to be someone as successful. Which I'm so honored that you're even here, as you are. You know,
thank you.
You've come a long way, and I think having adversity helps me respect you even more than. I mean, not that it's a competition, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's
struggle
not
makes you
easy to get where you. You know what I'm saying, man?
But and we've talked about this. You know, you talk about one thing that I've learned, and I've been lucky. I've been blessed. Like I said, to have, you know, great mentors who allowed me to be myself. I'm authentically me, whatever room I walk in.
Yeah, and that's another question I was going to ask you is we were just at Miss Positively Suzanne's event just a couple weeks ago, and
she just said hi, Sean. Literally.
is that talk about
What's
timing?
up, Suzanne?
What up, Suzanne? We love you, Suzanne.
I ran into her earlier today in La Central, the bakery downtown.
Oh, word? Yo,
Yeah.
shout out to La Central because they got
sure.
some good food over there. It's right there on Main Street. If you don't know where it is, across from Dunkin' Donuts, Main Street City Hall area, go get yourself something over there.
Yeah, Brazilian spot.
But you know, I saw you there, and I really want to commend you in that you're an amazing public speaker. I loved your speech. It was captivating, and I think the reason why it was so captivating is because it was real. You talk like you're talking right now. You're you all the time, and that was part of your speech, is letting us know as because it was for black entrepreneurs, but letting us that were there in attendance know one of the key components to success is showing up authentically?
Yeah, so I struggle with people who show up in a space and they're pliable and they can be moved by what conversation they're in, and then you have a different conversation with them and all the stances that they took in the first conversation is different.
Right. Those fence leaners.
Yeah. But so for me, I've been lucky, like I said, because that doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. But I've done the work. Like, community knows, like, I've been out here. I've been out here since I started at the youth center as a young person. Like, my track record kind of stands for itself. So when you see me, like, you know it's going to be authentically Sean. But some days I am jeans, polo, sneakers. Some days I am a suit. But most of the time it's suit jacket, graphic tee, jeans, and Jordans.
Right. But it's always the same attitude.
It's always
not
always
attitude. Sorry, but the same
approach. Yeah, it's always
presence.
Authentically Sean, because I know that regardless of what circles I'm in, the work that I've done and the work I've done on myself and the work I've done in the community brings value to that conversation.
Yeah.
So just because you have on a suit doesn't make you any more valuable to anyone else.
Right.
And
That's just
just because I'm tatted up doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of the conversation.
Right. Or worthy of the position, because you're in a very big position. Yeah. Maybe not to you, but it is like, for the community. It's so invaluable to have you in that position, and it's true. Growing up too, we were told. Tell me if I'm lying. You can't have tats. Nobody's gonna hire you. You can't wear your jeans like that. You can't wear your pants like that. Pull your pants up. No one's gonna hire you.
Yeah.
You can't talk like that. No one's gonna hire you. One thing I know about Sean is, you don't have the best customer service voice.
No,
you know what I mean? You know the phone customer service people. You don't have the best.
That's not me. Let's be real. I tell people all the time. I'm not that polished dude. That's why I could never be a politician. Yeah. Right? I'm not polished in the sense that I'm going to always sit up proper and use the correct diction for everything, regardless of my 4 degrees. You know what I mean? Because when you break it down, people can talk that guess what? I have the credentials as well.
I talk how I talk, but I also can walk the walk. Okay.
But I am who I am, and then depending again, part of it is knowing your audience, and I know what circles I move in and how to navigate those circles, which is difficult because sometimes we don't, but also sometimes we never get that opportunity. Right. Sometimes people look at us and be like, immediately from the beginning, flick off the light switch because he's tatted up, because he's this, because he's that, hair, you know what I mean? Hair out. It's not a low cut, perfect Caesar with a part anymore.
Right.
Like,
you're actually wearing your natural hair, God forbid.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That was another thing we talked about.
The fact that you have to create legislation for you to wear your hair the way it grows out of your head is nuts. But that's where we're at this point. So, but yeah, I will always be authentically Sean in every conversation.
Yeah. So, and you would always encourage our youth to grow up and show up authentically, respectfully, right? Because there's a component that we gotta respect. We gotta have. Can we get into politics real quick, tiny bit? Because we gotta go, really tiny bit.
We can. I don't really.
I'm not gonna mention any names because we can't. What is it called? We can't.
You have to be nonpartisan, bro.
Thank you.
So before we even jump there, speaking of nonpartisan and talking about politics, because these conversations will always be nonpartisan. I'm actually working right now on hopefully, the largest voter registration drive we've ever done at the
Word. And that's one of the things I want to talk about too. Is QCC is always on point with getting our young people to vote.
Yep.
And it's not about who you want to vote for. It's about voting. It is
not for us to tell you who's the best candidate or any of those things, but we're partnering with the ACLU, we're partnering with Third Act, who does Rock the Vote on campus. This entire fall semester, we will have staff, faculty that'll be wearing lanyards that have the QR code where you can literally scan the QR code and register to vote right there.
Yeah.
We want to move the needle on making sure people understand the importance of elections.
Right.
It's not for us to say who to vote for, any of that. We'll always be.
Well, I would always say vote for you
in that conversation, because that's not for us to determine. You vote for whoever you want, but you have to show up and be a part of the process.
Right. It's really important, especially because our ancestors literally died, you know, for us to have the right to live freely, never mind, on top of it all, have the right to vote or be able to take part of a process that helps how we're going to be living, leading into the future.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important, and I love the work that they do at QCC, getting the young people involved. It would be so nice if, I mean, this is a little off topic, so I'm a little crazy here, but if we could lower the voting age even, because seriously, kids are so smart. Like, they really do get it, and they have such a scope on...
I don't think we give young people the credit for the information that they hold and they have access to. These days, we do a lot of
They're
stuff.
so observant
in our modality because we know what it was like for us. But the world is different. The world has changed. It's totally different. I don't know if lowering the voting age is what it is or what it is, but we're at.
I think expanding more people to vote.
But we're at a time that makes it really, really difficult because there's very little truth in journalism in a lot of places, where it's just about the sensationalism of it, where you can hear the same lie from 3 or 4 different people and believe that it's fact just because you heard it from 4 people.
And again, nonpartisan, because both sides lie. All sides lie.
Listen, and that has nothing to do with politics.
I think lying is a prerequisite to politics.
Absolutely.
I really do.
You know, and that's the scary part of it. And again, that's why I said I could never be a politician. It just
and when I said I wanted to bring up politics, is we really got to go because John already held up the sign, and we're not going to spend much time here. But I think it is important that we are very educated and not listening, like you said, to the sensationalism, because I feel like there's a precedent that's been set, again, across the board, not pointing out any individuals, that disrespect, ignorance, and all kinds of things that we grew up with, like, trying to avoid are now
the norm.
Just
can we do your own research, man? Do your own research. Read, and not just the first 2 things that pop up on the front page of Google. Like, dig a little deeper.
Multiple sources.
Yeah, then come to your own decisions. But we're at a point that we're a microwave society. Yeah. So whatever's quick and snappy and sensational is what we latch on to. If you just listen to conversations that people have online, you realize, like, this person has no clue what they're talking about. They're just parroting something that they hear from someone else. So that's the scary part of it. So that's why,
and the media loves to do that. And I don't care if you're watching CNN or Fox News.
Everybody does.
They all do it.
And so when you look at that QCC votes,
mainstream media doesn't do it.
That we have coming up, that's why we're going to be doing workshops around education and all of that. Again, nonpartisan, but we will be teaching people the importance of stepping up and voting in every election that you can.
Right. And it is very important in that things like actual real education, real history, for example, and even places like our community colleges stay funded, we want to value them in our communities, and how quick they can be unvalued and unfunded. And please back me up on this one. Municipal elections, bro, the most important thing we could do. Like, the president's cool, but municipal.
Your local elections affect you immediately.
Yeah. They
affect you immediately. Who you vote into, your city council, your school committee, your town council affects you immediately. A direct correlation. Absolutely. You know what I mean? At the larger scale, obviously, nationwide, that's trickle down. President signs a bill, whatever, at some point it gets to you. Your city council can literally change the way your life exists tomorrow based on certain votes.
100%. All right, enough of the politics. We got to go. But before we go, I did want to bring up one last thing. And
John's going to get sick of us.
I know, because I've been saying one last thing for the last 10 minutes. But Summer Jam.
Summer Jam, yes.
How you feeling about the hat, though?
Yo, Summer Jam is killing it this year. Shout out to my man Barbosa for Summer Jam. Quinsig has a team, and we're being coached by Quinsig legend Mo Horton, straight out of GBV. He's coaching our boys this year.
My classmate when I was in Burncoat.
Yeah, Mo's that dude. I believe he's our all-time leading scorer at the college. Yeah. So
bro, imagine being in high school with him and watching his growth. Listen, man, that was me. I got to watch every game.
I watched them grow up as kids. Him, Charles, DJ, all of them.
Yep.
So yeah, shout out to Mo. He's going to be coaching our team. So I believe we might have like first game of the day at like 9 or 10 o'clock.
The first game's at 10. I know that for sure.
And I think it's us versus someone else. I don't have the flyer in front of me. But yeah, we'll be at Summer Jam, and I'll be going back and forth because same day as Summer Jam is also the Worcester World Cup.
Yes.
And we're a big soccer family, so I'll be back and forth between the two. But Quinsig will be at Summer Jam. We will have a table. We'll be out there talking that talk. If you have more questions around Mass Educate, any of that stuff, come by our table. If you're a hooper who hasn't decided what you're going to do next year and you want to come play for us, if you're a soccer player.
Y'all got a nice gym, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, our gym will be under construction, actually. We building that whole building up. Believe me, the campus will be popping for the next couple years.
Word. I mean, the campus is already popping, so if it's gonna be even more popping, that's great.
Yeah.
Summer Jam, Saturday, August 10th, starts at about 10 a.m., goes all the way till 7 or 8 p.m., depending on when the last game ends.
Over 1,000 people in there for sure.
Oh, easy. And it's a great networking opportunity. There's going to be lots of vendors, and there's going to be a lot of community organizations, but most importantly, I'm sure you can agree to this, our young men and women,
Absolutely.
our young hoopers that are in the community, we need to support them. We need to show up. It makes them feel good just to know that they have a crowd who is backing them, right?
You're at home.
I think it keeps them on the right track, too.
Yeah. Everybody looks forward to this tournament. I've gone for the past couple of years, and just to see that crowd in Crompton Park where some of the greatest, basketball legends of Worcester, but also other places have come to play. It's really dope. Like what Barbosa's doing is really killing it.
And it brings a lot of people home.
Yeah,
for that
for
one
sure.
day. Yeah,
for sure.
It's a great day. Crompton Park, everybody. Saturday, August 10th. I'll be there. You'll be there, right?
Yeah,
right.
I'll be in and out all day.
All right. So until then, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And until next time, this has been Interviews with Sean Harris, Director of Community Outreach.
Engagement.
We should have did the ring thing in the beginning.
You know
I might have remembered it better then. I'm Quinsigamond Community College, and this is your boy Manny.
Sean Harris, thank you for having me.
Community delivered. We'll see you real soon. Peace.